All right, part 2 on Trump ringing the bell and the tomb being emptied, which is the crypt, because he has risen and he has rung the bell, and the time, person of the year, and he's the dawn of time, and you're in the 11th hour, the 23 of the 9/11, and the 47 is the 9/11, a bad dawn who has the keys to the pit. And let's tie in a few more things here, because the crypt and the tomb and all these things, it's a good chance they're going to be emptied. And we've already been shown that the Doge had some type of hack attack, so-called, on the nodes. And we're also being told Biden is being told to pause, or Biden's telling to pause all crypto activity. And it's talking about Operation Choke Point 2.0. And then yesterday we saw videos of subway carts having some type of smoke bomb or whatever on one aspect. And then we saw this other, oh man, I'm having a brain fart of what it was. Either way, we see the so-called vans, drones flying in the sky. So different aspects are lining up here, folks. The Doge, the E-God on the backside, the choke collar, all this is tied to the spikes in the neck, and the neck separates. It keeps you down to the inhale or exhale, because you can't get above the lungs. And the lungs is the guns, and the AR and the AK-47, all that stuff is tied to the quake and all those things. But you're under a new age, a new time, and guns would be old, primitive technology. It would be kind of like coming from going from a sword to a sword, and those types of things. And then oh man, the carrying, there's a difference in guns, okay? And this is a test of men on different levels, but they're guns used for hunting and home protection or whatever. That's one thing, okay? When you do open carry, that is when you're carrying a gun in hopes of using it against another man. Okay? So there's a little bit of difference going on here, and there's like two beast systems in a way, where the man controls the beast, or does the beast control the man? So this is where man, there's wolves among you in one way, and you're the prey, and they're praying that they get to use their guns on you, and they've been given the foot of the bear, and that's the right to bear arms, and they're hoping they swap their paw and all these other things at you. So a few levels and the loopholes for these fishers of men's and the banks that the men fish at and all these other things. And the loopholes are going to be lining up with your bell worship and these things the next few years, as the legal system and the contracts and the trains and such, the training for the training to the training and whatever, the Euphrates, all these things will be playing out in different ways as the woman comes and puts out the light and puts down that choke collar, all right? And there's different ways to train dogs and such, but these are bulldogs we're going to have to deal with that have that fighting spirit and such, but that's been bred into them. They've been bred in to die for a flag, or to die for a piece of land and all these other things. And they've been taught to kill other people for these things. And no matter how old someone is, or someone's child, and no one should have to bury their child. So there's so many things that's lining up. And the way that this healthcare system is ran today, it's a sick care system. And what I see daily is people abusing their children to where where they are going to be burying their children. You shall know them by their fruit. And this fertilizer that we've been all given to eat on in this atmosphere, as we're living in this Oz one layer, everybody's been given this nice, beautiful witch that's trying to get you lost in Oz. And she doesn't tell you that you can just use your ruby slippers to get home. You have to spend your whole life lost fighting this witch that doesn't really even exist because she's up on some mountain. She sends down some flying monkeys every now and then. Just throw some water on her. But you don't have any water because you haven't learned to walk on it, or you haven't learned to rise above it. They got you taking a bath in it and having your pastor dunk you backwards where you do need help coming up out of it, all right? But you don't have that water of life. And the things it's going to be putting forth as the lights go out, as the people are taken into their caves, their dens and these things, that's when you get that like stir crazy and that Hebrew or whatever. So that tribulational time frames, those FEMA camps, all those things that we're being told of can be coming in a different way, shape, or form in that house arrest for that home birth and all those things where they told you this, that, and the other, and they're shining lights on these things. And now you got that second stage with the lights shining in the sky in the Garden State and other areas where it's dark out. You're taking your seats and you're doing this little 3D action. And this dude just got that silencer shot on the back side with the healthcare, United Healthcare. So that's part of that United, part of those states. Of America. The 4D and 3D, those are all, the 4D is that wild time frame, and the 3D is opening up to the 4D, and we see these things now. But as the money and these gas chambers and such are opened up, and the public transit is taken out, and all these systems are taken out, and the Twin 9/11 event comes in to where you have to come in with this so-called Patriot Act 3.0, or where you have to be ID'd, or the real ID, and all these things playing out in different ways. You can have aliens show, you can have the people take this, that, and the other about the COVID app or the real ID app. All these things would be coming together into one big powwow, okay? And the flood, the flu, so that mothership, the mothership, it's here for that widening, the left and the right, that widening, that widen, and the Y is the 25th letter, the 2025, that's that time frame now that holds the 24 clock for the 9/11, and you're in that 23 time frame, the anniversary. So as it's in the 11th hour, we're told, and that ding we heard on the ring for the bell, and that's part of that bell worship going off for the New York Stock Exchange. There's various bells, and then the mark in the right hand. Yes, I solemnly swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And that's where you worship the truth, or in the so-called mark in the right hand that's been given to you by the king to mark you and to think you know what's good and right, when all your righteousness is as filthy rags. and you built up all this hardness in your own heart, and you've come into bondage, and those who built up all this hardness in their own heart are going to be gathered into a nation and being brought into the bond, and they have to go into the wilderness for 40 years or 40 years, and those 40 years would line up to a long time frame, to where they're going into day 1, and then the day 2 from the 48 to the 2048, and then the 2048 to the day 3 to the 2072, and so on. But and then looking back, we say, well, let's go and travel to the little land of America, which would be Texas or whatever kind of thing, and that'd be like its little nation of North Korea kind of thing that we're shown as far as that proxy state, because that image has been given life, and as we're shown this carnal projection of Israel that stole the land or whatever for this world stage or whatever, the spiritual Israel, which is the inward Jew seeking salvation and all this shit that's been taken from you and the stolen inheritance or whatever, but that's where they're taking this so-called Zionist one way, or this Israel one way, this church religious system or whatever, and they bring them all down into a point of light or whatever, or where America, United States of America, might be a system of where you have like the Jew, the Christian, and the Muslim or whatever, and they're all kind of divided one way, and that's where you just kind of leave in circumstances and then take a bow out and then come back or whatever. But the choke collar and the choke point 2.0 and the hack attack and the crypt'O, the tombs, all these things are lining up, and the bricks and the Oz, the brick with the wolf coming, and they can't blow your house down. All those things are stacking up, all right? And then Biden is now 82. Tron came out in 82. We see Justin's sun shining his light with Tron starting to ramp up and all these things. And I told you way back when, and I told people around me, you got to buy at least $500 worth of Tron, if not more. But you got to buy at least 500. And I know one person for sure listened to me. And otherwise, I don't know who really took that advice. All right, but either way, but Tron is connected to the tethered dollar and stable coins and these types of things. And as Mary is taken in with Joe and the donkey's back and all these things taken in for this birth, and Don has risen, and he's going to rise into heaven in another way, and you'll never see him again. And then you're going to see him in another way as that dark dawn, setting the stage where he's working behind the scenes or under the tunnel, or where he's that tripping on the acid kind of thing, where he's gone and then everybody's in a frenzy and those types of things. So and then also we can see all the so-called world leaders. They got the silencer in the backside, the shot from the United Healthcare, Luigi, Super Mario World, Disney kind of thing play out, where that whole stage is just gone dark, and that can be kind of where that boogeyman is showing in the garden now, and you've been walking with the Lord, but now you're starting to see some scary eyes, and they're looking back at you. All right, and you're seeing that's not the God we loved with, and we are waking up in hell. So be that kind of thing.